Mr. Chairman, could the Honourable Minister say for the code 240450, how many ambulances would be bought and for which location, as well as the ATV vehicles and which location?
Yes, we most definitely can give you that. We have ambulances for Sadi, Bartika, West Dem. We have the river ambulance for Marumo, Bartika. ATVs for Anai, K2, Mountain. Motorcycles for Anishat, Anai, Santi, Karaspai.
Just to ask the Honourable Minister, Mr. Chairman, if those places that the ATVs are marked for, an ambulance cannot function.
Possibly, but ATVs are probably better suited, and at the same time, a budget has to money to have to them So last year we bought a certain number of ambulances. This year we're buying some more ambulances, and we will continually expand and hope you support us in this to make the fleet bigger and bigger, and we keep pushing the ambulances forward and further out. For example, we sent one to let them recently. As soon as the fire destroyed one ambulance, there's another ambulance that will be keeping in reserve the ministry. So yes, ambulances could go many places, many other places can say they want ambulances. It's a matter of priorities, a matter of what you want to do. So ATVs might do better in a high K2, Mountain, and so on. Not to say that ambulances can't go there. Hopefully we get them there sooner rather than later.
Dr. Norton, and after you, Ms. Gurita Low, go ahead, Dr. Norton.
Mr. Chairman, is the Honourable Minister saying that ATVs are used instead of ambulances?
No, I never intimated that ATV has their use. River ambulances have their use, motorcycles have their use, ambulances have their use, and ambulances are of different types. In certain areas you can argue that you can have off-road vehicles, but we take your question, we take your the spirit with which you ask the question. We need our ambulances in more and more places. That's the aim. That's why last year I think we got 7. This year we get 12. Hopefully, who knows, we get more and more. And that's one of the major items we have. Whenever we want to help, we say we can get the ambulances. So we fully recognize the need, but the ATV is not being used to replace the ambulance. Right?
Ms. Gurita Low, sorry. Ms. Gurita Low.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Project Code 250-1900, Honourable Minister, medical equipment. What equipment will be purchased and where will they be placed? Thank you.
Okay, this what basically we're doing is trying to recapitalize a certain important section of every surgical aspect of things. For example, you got surgical instruments, Roma Study, work with regional health, SMR Hospital, Particle, and Lincoln. And we recognize those are places which have theaters. Suction machine study, West American Hospital, Diamond, Dr. C.C. Nicholson Hospital, Linden. Sterilizers, Agricola, Northeast of Benton, that's the Particle, Cameron, Pokwani. After clears, Fort Wellington, Pokwani. ECG machines, and have a list, and this is spinal cords, we have another list of several places where they will get oxygen cylinders, Parika, Chart, NI, Paraspai, K2. Examination pouches, large, Sophia, Northeast, David Rose, blood pressure apparatus, Kaituma, Abroma, Maruka, Vadia, Pokwani, Premier, and so on. We can facilitate you with this list of items, where they go, to which numbers they go. Examination lamps, for example, Mabruma, Kaituma, Maruka, Vadia, Pokwani, Premier, Abrika, Sophia, and so on. Trolleys, Mabruma, Kaituma, Pokwani, Premier, Abrika, Sophia, and so on. Dressing drum.
How long is this?
It's several, it takes out
Not today.
No, I don't say okay, for facilitate.
Thank you, Dr. Norton. Oh, sorry, Ms. Lowe, you had other questions?
Kindly, give us the list.
Yes, Dr. Norton.
Mr. Chairman, under project code 1201700, could the Honorable Minister say this acute care facility at Port Kanji Hospital, what it actually entails?
Okay. We're going to be completing the nurse's restroom, internal finishes, the access road to the facility. So the facility already exists. These are some of the works that will be done to make it better. The nursing comfort will be enhanced, the restroom, and the certain internal finishes will be done, and the access road to the facility itself.
Dr. Norton.
Similarly, Mr. Chairman, could the Honorable Minister say the upgrading of the Linden Hospital complex, what area is earmarked for that?
Okay, basically there are 3 areas. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to tell you this. Linden Hospital is probably one of the best hospitals we have.
You said so before.
Yeah. So now we have Linden Hospital upgrade. There's an old hospital building that is still well preserved relatively. We hope to do certain renovations there, to make apartments for the new doctors. There's many new doctors here. To make 2 self-contained bedroom rooms for the doctors on call. So besides apartments where they can stay as residents, we want to have 2 on-call rooms so that they can permanently be near the site of work. The canteen, we want to upgrade a section of the same old building to house a proper staff canteen. And interestingly, ophthalmology. As I just mentioned, Mr. Chair, we've already specialized one young lady as a specialist, an eye specialist. She worked along with Dr. Norton in some training after she came back. She's a full-fledged eye surgeon. But we have an eye surgeon without ophthalmology theater at Linden. So we're going to change that by upgrading a section of the said old building to house dedicated areas for a theater, an eye, a recovery room, a sterile area, a scrub room area, a preparation area, and the other things necessary. It's better than the Georgia Hospital.
Honourable members, I would putting the question that we approved yesterday is Ms. Amna Ali.
Mr. Chairman, in keeping with the decision that we had a special subcommittee looking at matters of the questionable nature, I want to indicate first of all that it is the intention of the opposition not to support this item on in the estimates. However, we are open to any discussion that the government may want to have before you put the question, to see whether a consensus can be arrived at. However, if the government is not interested, we are only too willing to go ahead with the vote on this identified item.
On the one second, Minister. On the 474 capital, we have, beginning on page 443, we continue, you have Ministry of Health Buildings, Doctors' Quarters, Specialty Hospital Project, Land and Water Transport, Office Furniture Equipment, Medical Equipment, and other equipment. Nice. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I might just add to the observation by the group, it would be to say that our preference would be that you take the items under the head individually, but if you cannot,
I have to put the entire program to the vote.
Okay, well, let me just signal to you, as she has, that as regards the specialty hospital, we are not desirous specifically of supporting that, and any consensus would have to be built around that understanding. But to the extent that you're only taking them all together, then that has implications.
I believe that
Same position in answer change, if I be allowed, Mr. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, and we had thought that the procedure would be just like we had one yesterday, where we could probably come to compromise to delete them, because we did not want to deny doctors' quarters and all of that. But because there's absolutely not going to be any discussion like we had in relation to Gaisuko, well, we might have to go the way of disapproving the whole head.
Honourable members, as Speaker, as Chairman of the Committee of Supply, I will have to proceed and vote if there is no counter to the proposal and the request made by Ms. Amna Ali, Chief Whip, and supported by Mr. Greenwich and by Mr. Ramazan. I recognize Ms. Here to share.
Mr. Chairman, just in terms of procedures, as the issue was, we agreed yesterday by 9 o'clock every morning, we would be informed on the government side by what were the items that were to be considered in the subcommittee, whether it was a reduction, etc. As of this morning, you were anything, and therefore the meeting was cancelled. We subsequently afterwards got an email from Ms. Ali saying that the 4 items that the opposition wishes to give non-approval to. So I don't know what negotiations one has when it's non-approval. But therefore the 4 items, speciality, Aberdeen Development Fund, community policing, institutional striking of labor. So by the note of the opposition written by Ms. Ali, it gives no idea of a reduction. It is a question of non-approval. And on that basis, we have acted.
Honourable members, I put the question that is that the sum stated for capital expenditures, this will be, there's regional and clinical services, sorry, capital expenditures, be approved. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against? No. Yeah.
Marcelo? Dr. Amaya? No. Mrs. Garinello?
No.
Mrs. Hughes?
No.
Mr. Nagamoto? No. Mr. Ramazan? No. Ms. Ferguson?
No.
Mr. Williams? Ms. Williams, sorry. Mr. Murian? No. Mr. Jones? No. Mr. Adams? No. Ms. Madigan? No. Mr. Soon? No. Mr. Elliott? No. Mr. Bond? No. Mr. Trotman? No. Ms. Selman? No. Mr. Aliko? No. Ms. Wade? No. Dr. Cummins? No. Mr. Felix? No. Ms. Adelskins? Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Vulcan? No. Lieutenant Colonel retired Aaron? No. Mr. Greenwich? No. Dr. Norton? No. Mrs. Lawrence? No. Mr. B. Williams?
Honourable members, the clerk, the division having been requested, the clerk having taken the vote, clerk reports that 33 members voted against proposing the sum stated in program 474 to be included in the estimates. 32 members voted for them to be contained in the estimates, and so the proposal of the Committee of Supply is that these not be included. Bear in mind, as I said before, that these are proposals, because when we sit in plenary, then we will make the final decision about the approvals or non-approvals. But as it is, the proposal is that these sums do not. The current expenditures for the Ministry of Health. Health Services Education. Honourable Ministry will indicate when you are ready.
I'm ready with that, Mr. Speaker.
Well, remember that proposed the questions for your consideration that the current expenditures for health sciences education be considered by.
No question.
Go ahead, please, Dr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the line item 16112, senior technical, we had an increase in staff of 1, but an increase in salary of $3 million. Could the Honorable Minister say what's the designation, wages?
Okay, we have here one nursing tutor, category 1, was employed by the Ministry of Health, and this includes the 5% increase of the faculty. Salary is salary is nursing tutor 139,253
Mrs. Chairman, on the line item 6281, security service, there's an increase of $10 million. Could the Honorable Minister tell this House what changes took place within the security sector service to account for this $10 million?
Okay, besides the 5% increase, there's been an adjustment to bring these wages in line with the legal wage requirements. And that is a major part of the calculation, especially for this line.
Mr. Chairman, I waited until science education because I want to ask the same question that I asked the Georgetown Public Hospital. There are some general practitioners who are desirous of doing postgraduate studies. Might not necessarily be available to accept the scholarship per se might not be available. They are prepared to go do postgraduate services probably on their own with pay. Would the Ministry of Health accommodate such efforts by general practice?
That's on a particular line item or that's
Yes, this is under training. Under training. I was looking for a line item to ask.
Yeah, well, I know it's not coming directly up to the line item, but I think we can accommodate it as a good question. But the Ministry of Health is a learning organization. We want to train, we train. But this, I think, better advice would be had from the Minister of Public Service on this, because it concerns contracts, it concerns creating customer business and so on. But definitely, as I explained, persons on our contracts have had their employment held in abeyance, the contract, while they get paid, and then they pay back those years when they come back. Like the 4 ophthalmologists that we trained recently, and we're so generous, Mr. Chair, that we have created a theater for them when they come back.
Very good.
So I think it's better addressed to the public service minister, so we can explore it. I will not debate that question to this extent here now.
Thank you. Honourable members, I'd like to say that we've surpassed the 2-hour limit placed for Ministry of Health. We have, in a sense, 3 programs to go through, so I'm going to exercise my authority as Speaker for the time half an hour for us to complete these. So I'm going to ask that we move with some list. Dr. Norton. Very well, I put the question that we agree on the sum stated for health sciences education, current expenditures, program 475. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. These form part of the estimates. Turn your attention please to page 444. As I propose for your consideration, the capital expenditures standard for health sciences education. Dr. Collins.
project code 1201700, profile 208. There's description of project here, which entails the pavement of retention, completion of nursing school on East Street, extension of the New Amsterdam School of Nursing. Page 20, profile 208. Could the Honourable Minister state how much has been expended on these projects, on the individual projects, what has been expended so far, and how much will be spent for each project in 2014?
Okay, as of December 31st, 2013, the School of Nursing had some $4.539 million spent. Okay, and we hope as this year's budget proposes is a retention of $373,000 that we request in this budget. Then the completion of nursing school at East Street. 4 million, as I said, $339 were spent as last year. Western Nursing School, we spent, Nursing Hospital rather, sorry, we spent $3,357,878, and that is where the retention is. I made a mistake a few minutes ago, that's where the retention is. Or not East Street, but the Western Hospital. The Amsterdam Extension Nursing School that we will be using, estimated cost for this year is $7.999 million.
Honourable members, I'd like to put a question that is that we approve the sum stated capital expenditures for health sciences education, program 475 of the Ministry of Health. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Thank you. Please form part of the estimates. Please turn your attention, please, to pages 188, 189 as I propose for your consideration. Standards and technical services, Ministry of Health, program 476, current expenditures. Dr. Norton.
Mr. Chairman, once again on the staffing details, 6111, we have an increase in staff for administrative of one, and there's an increase in wages by 3 million. Could the Honourable Minister say what is the wages of this and designation?
Director of Standards was elected, and this also reflects the 5% on that employment cost. Director of Standards. Salary scale is $260,000. $264.95.
Also in staffing details, contracted employees, with an increase in staff of 3, we had an increase in wages of 23 million. Could the Honourable Minister tell us the designation of these 3 staff members and their salaries?
Yes, this is an indication to Dr. Norton of that transition, that absorption, where we've taken in 2 medical technologists and 1 chief medical technologist, along with a 5% increase. This accounts for that.
The wages?
The steep increase in wages.
What would be the wages?
The salary, the was the monthly. 375 $375 plus the gratuity and other fringe benefits. We can give you those those, we can give you all of those.
I would love to, Mr. Chairman, for the minister to give, because we have the fund for 23 million, okay?
But there are two medical technologists, one chief medical technologist. Can you give us how much is the chief medical technologist? How much is the medical technologist? And medical technologist is 17485.
Mr. Chairman, could the Honorable Minister explain on the line item 6221, drugs and medical supplies, the increase of 100 million compared to that of last year?
Okay, now this has to do with the said argument that we had, and if you know, and I suggest to Mr. Chimis that we look at this volume, it tells us what each program does. Now program 6 has a lot of testing, keeping standards and so on, a lot of reagents and such things, rapid testing kits and so on. They do a certain aspect of that drug, that's called profile, as is given here. So this is part of the transition, part of the absorption. And Mr. Chair, if you'll indulge me here, I'll forewarn us that the absorption of vaccines, which is to come short in the next 2 years, is going to hit us hard. Because whereas you might get them for a few cents now, the real market price can be $3.60 and so on. So this is just the tip of the export exchanges. So to answer you directly, unless you think I'm trying to divert, this is due to that the transfer of these costs to the GOT budget, as opposed to a few in the recent past, to special projects budgets.
Very well, Honourable Minister. Can I put a question now? That is that we approve the sums for standards and technical services. Program 476, capital expenditures. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. These form part of the estimates. I turn your attention to Program 477, rehabilitation services. Current expenditures, Ministry of Health. Dr. Norton.
No.
Very well.
We didn't go to the capital expense.
My apologies.
Standard
I think I put the capital instead of the current. I meant, and I'll do it again, I put the question that you approve the current expenditures for standards and technical services, Ministry of Health. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. These will be considered as part of the estimates. Please turn your attention to page 444 as I propose for your consideration the capital expenditures for standards and technical services.
Mr. Chairman, on the equipment medical, just ask the Honourable Minister, the chemistry analyzer, where is it earmarked for, and of the 17 million, what is the cost of that?
These are, it's 3 analyzers that we open to procure, one to study, one to Bartica, one to Western Rural Regional Hospital. So there are three items, 3 of the same nature.
Remember that I put the question that is that we approve the sum stated for capital expenditures for program 476, standards and technical services to the Ministry of Health. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. These will be considered as part of the estimates. I now ask that you turn your attention to pages 190 and 191 as we consider the current expenditures for rehabilitation services. Dr. Norton.
Staffing details 6116. Here again, could the Honourable Minister explain the increase of $10 million for the 2 contracted employees, the designation and salaries?
Okay, this one is a cook and administrative assistant. And remember, the 5% goes not only on these salaries, but on the salaries of all of the already existing personnel, even in staff and detail. So you have 137 persons there, different levels. So the 5% will have been calculated on these two. So it's this 5% plus the additional these 3 Ministry of Branch.
Honorable members, I put a question that has been approved. Start off the comments. My apologies.
The 6281, security services under rehab. There's an increase there. I would like to ask the Honorable Minister to explain the security firm was contracted and was there a tendering process and what changes took place to arrive at this sum.
Okay. Honorable, very much the same argument holds. This reflects the increases when the payment to these people came in line with the accepted minimum wage. On top of that, the 5%, and that increased the emolument.
Which security firm should the chair? Is it RTA or which security?
Strategic Action Company.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable members, Mr. Jones.
Speaking, just a clarification, the other minister reports a 5% increase. Is that for this year?
So that would be from last year. But it has to be, that we will move into this year now, because that's the salary we'll be expecting. Right, and 5% would have to be for the, not only for the people you had in, but it would have to be for the entire workforce that's already there. So that comes up to considerable sum.
Members, I put the question that is that we approve the sum stated for the capital expenditures and rehabilitation. Rehabilitation services, Ministry of Health. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. These will be sent forward. Please turn your attention to pages 444 and 445 as we consider rehabilitation services capital expenditures.
Mr. Chairman, just one question to the Minister on equipment medical. Could the Honourable Minister say which center these three equipment are remarked for? Ultrasound machine, the auditory brain stem response machine, and the audiometer?
Yes, we could give you that information. The mark for the ultrasound machine is the therapy department at them. Audiometer, audiology clinic, echo check, audiology clinic, that's in Georgetown. The audiometer brain stem response machine, audiology clinic. Wheelchairs to be distributed across the region.
Honorable members, I put the question that is that we approve the sum stated in Program 477 Rehabilitation Services, Ministry of Health, capital expenditures. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Thank you. These are approved to be sent forward for the House's consideration. Members, I'd like to thank the Honourable Minister. He had over 2.5 hours of questioning. So I'd like to thank his staff as well for assisting the Minister. Please note, Minister, that you did undertake to provide quite a volume of documents. So we will be expecting in reasonable time that those documents will be provided. So thank you very much, honourable members. Members, we turn our attention now to Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. As I propose for your consideration, pages 94 and 95, the Amerindian Development. So we will give the House a minute or two to settle down.